So confidence in analyzing and understanding multifamily deals. So a lot of people understand multifamily as this big monster. And quite honestly, it is not that. I love multifamily. I love real estate investment. Team is very important.
Things will sometimes go wrong on real estate deals. It's just the nature of the industry.
We've considered investments together. We work with many of the same people.
And I'm forming, partnerships with people on all different levels, and it's a win-win-win for everybody that way.
Step by step, I planned out what I was going to do. I planned on going sailing, so I knew what I needed to accomplish, and I started that plan. Actually, in fact, I wrote a book, and it's called Dreams, Goals, and Adventure.
Aloha, and welcome to Deal or No Deal, Multifamily Real Estate Investing Podcast with your host, Michael Ditton. Our mission and vision for this podcast is to share the knowledge and stories of others to inspire and motivate those not only in their pursuit for success in real estate investing, but in their overall journey in a life adventure, and to help create abundance on every level of their life. This podcast is sponsored by Helius Capital Investments, shedding light on multifamily real estate investing. Aloha, everybody, and welcome to Deal or No Deal, Multifamily Real Estate Investing. I'm Michael Ditton. I'm your host for this program. And today we're going to talk about confidence in analyzing and understanding multifamily deals. But before we do, just want to let you know that Deal or No Deal is actually made up of 4 different types of episodes. One, analyzing deals. I got into this because I was working with investors and I was sharing with them the benefits of the properties that we were analyzing. And often they would ask, okay, if we are not moving forward on that one, why? So I ended up recording and showing not only the good deals, but the ones that we called no deals. So Deal or No Deal, that's how it came about. We'll also be sharing with you a number of some of the biggest names in the industry and how they reached their level of success and how they serve today. We'll talk to you a little bit about the members of our wealth building team and how you can build a team to serve you. And of course, we're going to share stories of people in and out of the industry who are passionate about what they do, and they give back by helping motivate others to do what they love to do. So today's episode is going to be more on the analyzing side, and we're going to talk a little bit about the confidence in analyzing and understanding multifamily deals, because that's what I do and that's what I love to do. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share a screen with you guys. And here we go. All right, so let me blow up my screen. So confidence in analyzing and understanding multifamily deals. So a lot of people understand multifamily as this big monster. And quite honestly, it is not that. It can be, 100, 200, 300 unit properties and, tens of millions of dollars. But quite honestly, a duplex is a multifamily. So 2 to 4 units is considered residential, and 5 over is considered commercial. And commercial property is actually easier to get loans for because it's considered more of a business, and they take the income and that will actually qualify the property. Of course, yes, you still have to qualify as the individual as well. But when you're doing the 2 to 4, it's more, the qualification is more based on you versus the business. So we'll talk a little bit about the, what that looks like. Is it something that you can jump right into today and be 100% comfortable with? Chances are, like anything new, it's going to take a little while to get used to, but it is something that you could certainly get used to in a short period of time. I've been doing this since 1997 when I bought my first 4-unit complex. And I was very blessed to have somebody teach me how real estate could best serve me. And with that, I was able to serve hundreds, if not thousands of others of people, whether it was a single family homeowner, an individual, a family, investors, what have you. But I didn't have the confidence the first time I served anybody, but as I was taught and I learned, and I was able to share, teach, and continue to learn, I was able to build that confidence and help other people. So one of the things we want to take out of this equation is the fear of multifamily. Now, multifamily can be something that is a big monster. The things that are going to be a little bit more fearful are like, it could be intimidating. What if I do, what happens if I mess up, or how do I do it? Or how do I analyze it? Or where do I get the money from? These are great questions, but I'm here to tell you that there is a way to do this. If you're an investor and you've got money to do it and you have the time to do it, great. If you're somebody that wants to get into it, you don't have the money, but you have the time, there's ways to do it. If you're a little bit on both sides, you've got some money and you've got some time, there's ways to do it. So what you have to first do is get past that fear of the multifamily. And multifamily, is something that it's just one asset class. In commercial, there's different asset classes. This is one of them. And residential is another asset class. So multifamily is something that I'm going to go into the next screen here. It's something that in today's world, in this so-called renter's nation, it's an asset class that continues to grow stronger. In fact, I was just hearing some information this morning on a podcast about how this is going to get even stronger as the time goes on, because quite honestly, the affordability for somebody in this market that we're in now to purchase their own home is getting smaller and smaller. Not just because there's very little on the market, but the prices keep going to a point where it's going to outpace the income of those people. Is that sustainable? No, not really. Do people that make more money, are they still able to afford it? Yes. But what happens to everybody else that can't afford it because it's being, it's overshooting their income, their income levels? They are now or will continue to be renters. And the ones that are hoping to become owners are going to remain renters. Or we have, a time with, on the heels, the back end of heels, hopefully with this COVID-19, where a lot of people, unfortunately, were unable to continue to make their payments on their homes. Now, a lot of the banks are working with people to, make sure that they don't lose them. If they have managed to get work again and they're on track and everything's good to go, but some people weren't that fortunate and they're not going to be able to, reality is they're not going to be able to continue to make those payments in the future. So there's going to be a flood of properties that come on the market over the next 12 to 24 months. Those people, their choices, once they are no longer homeowners, are going to become renters. Unless they're moving with family or friends, they're going to become renters. So even in a changing market, multifamily and the rental market is something that's going to remain solid and stay solid. So this is an asset class that I really like. Another reason I like it is because, and don't get me wrong, I've owned condos and single family and everything else, but the reason I like it is, let's just say I started with a 4-unit complex. So you rent those units out, and if one person moves out, you still have the income from the other 3, which is either going to pay the mortgage or a big percentage of the mortgage, versus if you had a single family and somebody moves out for 30 or 60 or 90 days, however long it takes you to make ready and get a new tenant in there, you're completely out of that income. Multifamily is a little bit different when it comes to that. So this is one of the reasons why I like this asset class. Some of the rewards. Now, if you're working as a general partner or investor general partner, these are some of the rewards. Now, I also have a lot of listeners that are wholesalers, and it's a little bit different, but the acquisition or disposition fee that we talk about here would be basically a finder's fee. So some of the rewards for multifamily, if you're getting into this and let's say you're working as a general partner, you're looking to go out and work with investors who are busy in the field that they are best in, earning their income, but they have money that is sitting around and not earning, and they want to place it somewhere. Well, they do what they do and they love doing what they're doing, but they have this money and they need somebody to do what we do and go out and find and assess, analyze, get these properties, secure these properties, manage these properties, and provide good returns. So the service that we provide as Helius is we go out and we find those properties. Again, we make sure that they meet the needs of our investors. For this, we end up with an acquisition fee. If we sell it, we get a disposition fee. There's an asset management fee. That doesn't mean we're the property managers, but we're managing the team that we have. So we're managing the managers. We're managing to make sure that the reports are done and that they're put in on time. Part of this deal is we get a percentage of the cash flow and we get a percentage of the equity. So this is how we are rewarded for going out and doing the legwork to find these great properties and make sure that the investors have a good, safe place to put their money and get some nice return on their investments. What does that look like when I go out and I look for something? Well, I have what's called an MDA, and this was compliments of a guy that's big in this industry, my buddy Mike Fritz. He turned me on to this. I started working with him in the end of 2020, learning about what he does in multifamily. I did it back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I did it a whole lot different than I do today. I was more on my own back then. And now, in order to leverage and grow and everything else, I definitely have a team. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this MDA or multifamily deal analyzer, I can go in a short period of time and analyze a property to see if it's worth even moving forward. So in 15 minutes, I can take the rent rolls, I can take the T12 or financials, I can plug in a bunch of numbers and I can look at it to see what the cash on cash return is today, and then, project what it's going to look like, tomorrow or the next year and what the returns might be for our investment group, our investors, and ourselves. It didn't used to take me just 15 minutes. It used to take me a little bit longer, but it's really a simple process to get started and see if it's even worth pursuing. Once you see if it's worth pursuing, then you want to dive in a little bit deeper, make sure that you do have all the accurate numbers, make sure that you're doing your due diligence and everything else. But this is just the simple process to see if it's even worth chasing after. If it looks like it's something that's going to chase after, you go in and you look at the numbers. What is this going to mean to the investor? Let's say an investor brings, $100,000 to the table, and we had an exit strategy of maybe, 2 to 4 years or 3 to 5 years, and we're going to sell it. So in this particular case, I did a 3-year return, and I just did the averages instead of, breaking it down by year. But, if they put in 100,000, what their percentage of, investment was out of the percentage that we gave the investors, what the overall net is, what their net percentage is, and then what their annual is. And if you take that times 3 plus the projected, equity, which you can do through forced appreciation. And again, these are things that you learn in these sheets. At the end of the day, you're probably on this particular property in excess of 20% overall return, or IRR. And that's extremely good. And these normally run that 15 to 18, 15 to 20%. This one was a little bit higher at the beginning. This was at the beginning phase of looking at all this. As you go in a little bit deeper and you find some of the costs are a little bit higher, that brings this down. That's where you have to dig a little bit deeper. But this was the snapshot. Now, I knew that 28% would be pretty high, but it's also something that even if you brought it down 8% and you're in your 15 to 20%, that's an incredible return on your investment. So these are things that we look at. The way to get started, Disney says, Walt Disney, he says the way to get started is to quit talking about it and doing it. Now, some of you guys may know my history. Some of you may not know my history, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, I had a very successful career in real estate and real estate investing. I owned a lot of properties, which I self-managed at that time. I've learned not to do that anymore. I leave that up to the professionals, and I do what I'm best at. I also owned several other companies, and I realized that life was too short. So I decided that I was going to sell everything in 2007. I sold everything, jumped on my boat, and I disappeared for the next 10 years, enjoying what life had to offer. So literally just pulled out of the harbor, hung a left for destinations unknown. So it wasn't just the talking, it was the actual doing. Now, if I was to tell you that as I stood there waving goodbye to everybody as we got ready to head out, not only did they think we were crazy, but a lot of people had this, oh my God, I would just love to do that. But I've got kids in school, or I've got a business to run, or I, financially can't do it, or whatever the case might be. As much as they would love to, reality is that not everybody is in a position to do that. not everybody's dream is also to go off and sail around the world, but maybe it might be traveling more, or maybe it's putting yourself or kids through education, whatever your vehicle is. The things that stop us in a lot of this is fear, which we talked about. Yes, you might say that it's something else, but that fear of uncertainty, that societal norm, which, like I said, when we were waving goodbye to everybody that was standing on the docks, we were basically saying goodbye to our friends and our family, not knowing when we would actually physically see them again. We knew that in today's world, we could, even though it was a while back, we could still stay connected through internet and emails and things of that nature. But we were doing something different, and that scares the living heck out of people. It scared the living heck out of us. But because we took that risk, because we cut those lines, because we took off and went sailing for that 10 years, the rewards were unbelievable. We got to see places, do things, meet people. There was an experience that we were living the dream. We were living the dream. So you have to quit talking and doing, and whether it's following your dream or following a passion in real estate investments, multifamily, or whatever it might be. Also, we talked about team. Now, as I mentioned way back when, yes, I had title and escrow and legal and everything else, but I did most of the legwork myself. I did most of the property management and repairs myself. I was young, I was energetic, I didn't know any better. I did great for that time, and I actually enjoyed it back then. But I was also at the point where that scale was maxed out. And had I wanted to continue to grow at that point in time, which I chose not to, I chose to do something different. I would have had to have a team in place. I would have had to, go back and get some further education on how I can make that happen. I would have to have advisors like I do today. I would have to have more of a team, not only title and escrow, property managers, CPAs, legal inspectors, all of that stuff. And this team is what allows you to leverage. You allow these people to do what they do best, again, while you go out and do what you do best, which for me is finding the properties, analyzing, make sure that they're worthy of our investment group, and then making sure that we have the team in place or boots on the ground where that's at to ensure that we have a smooth transition from the opening of escrow to the close of escrow, and then overall management of that asset to make sure our teams are doing what they're supposed to be doing while we hold that asset. So a team is invaluable. They're worth their weight in gold, and it's just something that I couldn't even imagine being without nowadays, because they truly are there to do what they do and do it best while I go out and do what I can. To talk in a snapshot of the flow of this process, again, finding a deal, make sure it's something that's of value to our group. Not every deal is. That doesn't mean it's not a good deal for somebody else, but the parameters for which we look at properties, it has to meet certain criteria. So I do my quick analysis. If it looks like it, then I find the money. And when I find the money, not only is it through, financial institution that's going to loan it, but we also need to find investors that are going to pay upfront seed money, which is the down payment and capex in order to do any improvements that need it right away. All the stuff that we need to get the deal done. Then we go through the acquisition process. We negotiate, we open, we open escrow. We then make sure that all of the team is in place, and then we manage the asset by managing the team and just make sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. But the last thing is actually the first thing, and that's the exit strategy. We'll always have a couple of exit strategies in place before we even start to present it to our investors, because they need to know what the exit strategy is before they get in. Let's just say that we've got an exit strategy for a buy and hold 3 to 5 year cash out refi, and I've got an investor that wants to do fix and flips, and they want to get the money in, get the money out, get the money in, get the money out, all within 12 to 24 months. Well, this wouldn't meet their needs. Another program might. So having that exit strategy up front helps determine whether the investors that you have are really fit for this particular investment. So Another reason you want to have multiple exit strategies, let's just say that your intention is to, stabilize a property, and over the next 2 to 4 years, you will go ahead and get it stabilized, and you'll market it, and you'll sell that property or sell that asset off. Everybody's on board, they're good with it, but here's something that happens. We don't have a crystal ball. We never know when the industry is going to change. We can assure you that it will, because real estate, like stock market and so many other things in life, it's cyclical. We see it go up, we see it go down, we see it go up, we see it go down. So we know that there's going to be a change, and we need to be prepared for that. So we buy an asset and everything's going great. We're making good cash flow, and it looks like we're on target for a sale in 12 or 24 months. And then all of a sudden industry changes, even though the value of that property has gone up because we've stabilized it through forced depreciation. We made it more valuable, either by the repairs that we've done or the rent increases that we've done, whatever the case might be. If it's forced depreciation value, or ARV, is greater than what the market will bear, then we wouldn't be able to sell it. Doesn't matter how good it looks on paper. If if it's not going to appraise and the market won't bear it, we wouldn't be able to do it. So if the market changes and that's the case, the worst case scenario in this is we have a cash flow property, because it's a multifamily asset class, which we would look at that's going to earn income. And we know even in a down market, not only is that renter nation or that rental market going to stay, solid and stable, but in many cases, it's going to get even stronger, because if there's a turn in the market, we might see people that lose their homes, they need to move in, or there's going to be a short. Right now, there is a shortage of properties available. So we know it's a strong market already. So we're not going to probably see a hit in our cash flow. In fact, we might see an increase in our cash flow. We just wouldn't be able to sell it as we had planned in that 24 or 36 months, whatever it is. We have to ride it out a little bit longer. So we just continue to take that cash flow until we ride it all the way out and the market changes again. And then if we see fit to sell it at that point in time, or do a cash out refi at that point in time, that would have been something we discussed at the first. So yeah, we plan on selling it in 24 to 48 months. But if the market changes, plan B is to sit, write it out. We know we're going to earn cash on it and reevaluate it when the market changes again. So that's all part of this upfront strategy. I know it sounds like an awful lot, but once you start doing this, it becomes easier and easier, and it gives you that confidence in analyzing and understanding. So either as a GP who's working with investors, or an investor that's working with GPs, or a wholesaler actually trying to break into the multifamily market, so that you can share the things that you find with other people, knowing how it's going to benefit them before you can present it to them, is of a huge benefit. So your strength in this confidence in anything you do is gained through knowledge and experience. Okay. We crawled before we walked. Okay. So, and the first time we walked, we fell down. That's going to happen. You're going to want to learn from a coach or mentor and have the tools in place, so that when you fall, you don't get hurt as bad. Like when you started walking, most likely mom or dad or whoever was there was to help catch you the first few times you fell. That's what the coach or mentor or advisors are there for. They're going to help coach you through that, or help, if you're using them to the best of your ability or what they're offering you, maybe even preventing you from going out and making that decision that might not be good for you. So this is the knowledge and experience, and tapping into your resources, having those advisors, learning the things that you do to give you that knowledge and strength. And of course, the more comfortable you become, the better you become at it. So by gaining that knowledge and competence, you can take down multifamily and feel confident in presenting great multifamily deals to your buyers, your investors, whoever that might be. So this is just kind of a snapshot of having that confidence. Of course, it's not quite that easy, but it really is. I love multifamily. I love talking about it. I do invest in other things, mobile home parks. It's kind of multifamily, single family, condos, things of that nature. I'm happy to talk to you about any of it. But if you want to talk specifically about multifamily, just let me know. I'm happy to share with you and point you in the direction. Just put your comments in the comment below, reach directly out to us. You have our information. There'll be follow-up information in the show notes. But For today's episode, this is Deal or No Deal Multifamily Real Estate Investing. And I am Michael, again, your host. And I want to thank my listeners and viewers for liking, sharing, subscribing, whatever it is you can do to help support us. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you find any value in this, please make sure you do share. So thank you very much from Michael, your host, and best wishes. Aloha.